we start today's video, let me quickly tell you. The likes and the shares that we get helps us to reach many more people on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you're watching this video, I request you to please like this video and share this video and any other video that we have on our channel so that we will reach to many more people and be a reason of blessings for them. Enjoy this video. Don't we all love to hold on to what we have and have a secure future and keep our future safe? Let's talk about a Bible character who did not think of all these things but gave in to what God wanted him to do, gave in to fulfill God's plan in the life of his people and his friend. In today's Bible Banter. Welcome to today's Bible Banter. The Bible character that we are going to talk about today is Jonathan. Now Jonathan, the character of Jonathan we find in the book of Samuel. Let's talk about him a little bit today. Jonathan was a son of the king, King Saul. Now we know that King Saul was the first king of the people of Israel. And so he was a prince in that kingdom. Interestingly, the story that we read about Jonathan in Bible reminds us of the greatest friend that we see in the Bible. Now we all know that Jonathan and David were very, very good friends. And we see in the life of Jonathan that he preferred helping David rather than saving his own throne. Now the story goes like this. As we all know that God told Samuel to appoint David as the next king of people of Israel. And when David helped people of Israel or Israel's army to defeat Goliath, he was always in the presence of the King Saul. But King Saul was jealous of him. King Saul always looked for an opportunity to kill David so that he can have throne for himself and for his sons. Jonathan, being son of Saul, was meant to be, by their understanding, the next king. And it would have been his future. It was his security for the future that he would have been the next king and have all the powers in the kingdom and rule over the people of Israel. So by all rational, he should have supported his father's desire in killing David and securing his own throne. But Jonathan was a great friend for David. And since Jonathan was aware of his father's plan to kill David, he did not help him in his great plan or in his plan to kill David. But he chose, on the other hand, to help David and save his life. Now, in Bible we see a great story in 1 Samuel chapter 20, where when Jonathan was aware that his father is finally trying to capture David and kill him, he asked David to hide in the park or in the ground, behind the stone, behind the rock. And he told him that tomorrow, as I would be made aware of the plans, I would come and I would communicate with you with the arrows. So he said, if I send arrow beyond where I've asked you to set, that means you should run from this place and save yourself. And if I do it otherwise, that means you are safe and you can come and be a part of the feast. And my dear friends, that is what Jonathan did the next day. As he got to know that his father is trying to kill David, he went to the field with one of his servants. He took the bows and arrows and he sent the arrows beyond where David was sitting. thus communicating with him that he needs to go from that place. When we look at the story of Jonathan, we look at a life that was selfless. We look at a life that gave a more importance to God's plan than his own personal agendas. We look at the life that trusted in God's plan and did not hold on to his own secure future. My dear friends, Jonathan helped and supported David because he knew that God was with David. And in God's plan, David would be the next king for the people of Israel. Jonathan is a great character for all of us. At times we do understand God's plan for our lives. We do understand God's plan for other people's life. But we all want to hold on to what is dear to us. We all want to be in the place where we would be highly respected and we'll have a great power. My dear friends, Jonathan was selfless. He did not think about himself. He did not think of, what will happen to my future? What will happen if I don't become a king? What will happen to me then? But he listened to what God wanted him to do. He understood the God's plan for people of Israel and for David. And he gave in his own desires and his own future to fulfill that God's plan for his people. Maybe we don't find Jonathan to be one of the greatest king for the people of Israel. My dear friends, he turned out to be the greatest friend that we find in the Bible. He helped David going against his father's plan and father's desire because he knew that he was doing the right thing. My dear friends, how many times do we listen to God's plan? How many times do we listen to what God wants us to do? How many times do we love to hold on to what we think, is the right thing to do? How many times we love to hold on to places that we think, that is where I belong? Not him. Why should I give my place for him? My dear friends, we all need to listen to what God has planned for our future. We all need to understand what is God's plan. We all need to be in the place where we would be willing to give ourselves to fulfill God's plan in our life and in life of other people and in life of our church. Jonathan proved to be a great friend, not thinking about himself and allowing God's work to happen. My dear friends, are we willing to give ourselves? Are we willing to give our plans to fulfill God's great plans? Are we willing to be that great friend?